So I want to thank you all for joining us. Why do this record?
What drives us is we really want to make a difference. And Michael Jackson was the perfect artist who spoke to all of us. He tapped us on the shoulder and said, would you just do me one small favor and remind people that I'm the greatest? And we all said yes. And that's why this album.
L.A., how did this project start?
So the project started with a conversation that I had with John Branca. How about you let me hear everything that's been recorded, everything on tape, whether it's an entire song or a fragment of a song. Let me hear everything. And then let me go out and put my team together and make an album on Michael.
I want to ask you all what Michael meant to you on a personal and professional level. Tim, you're the lead producer on this, so I want to start with you on this question.
Michael was one of the greatest entertainers. I felt like I had to dig into a place where it's just deeper than just music. Mm-hmm. I have to dig into a place to where he would accept what I'm doing without him telling me this is right.
I was a huge Jackson 5 fan when I was a kid.
He influenced me since I was a kid.
I used to run around the house doing Jackson 5 routines. They would always have those, like, you know, simple step routines.
I grew up when they were the Jacksons, the Jackson 5s.
I remember being in Toledo, Ohio. I want to say it was like 1986 or something like that, me being like 9 years old and walking in the mall and hearing Human Nature and Thriller for the first time in the mall in Toledo, Ohio.
I mean, we're old enough to remember when Beat It and Thriller first came out. And, you know, we were 11 years old, so it made a huge impression on me just on a personal level, but then as I got a little older, on the musical level.
Michael might have been single-handedly the reason why I wanted to become a producer.
His effect is just, it's so universal. Any music you hear today was influenced. There's something there that I could go, oh, they got that from Michael.
Something spoke to me in the last year that said, you know, you should do something really special with Michael. And that special project ended up being XSCAPE.
When LA called me to be part of the project, at first I was a little hesitant. And it wasn't that I didn't trust LA, it's just that I worked with Michael before.
My first instinct was like, no.
And I knew what his expectations was, what his standards were.
You know, I'm a Michael fan. I'm one of the biggest as well, and you become a purist about that type of stuff.
I think some of the fans have those same fears, and they wonder if we should be doing this. But you know what? The answer is yes, we should be doing it. If it wasn't supposed to be, it wouldn't be this good.
Once LA played me the music, I was all the way in. I was like, oh yeah, this is a Michael Jackson. This is one of them classic albums.
Tim and I were working on something else in the studio, and he played me some of the music. The idea came around, well, what if there was a way to make one of the songs a duet? And we came across Love Never Felt So Good. I mean, when I first heard it in the studio, I was like, what is this song? And why has it never been released? I just fell in love with it instantly.
His vocals are so powerful. It's gonna draw you to do something. As a genius musician, his voice commands you to get and do something.
I just felt like our only job was to make it feel modern. And I just kind of came in and reworked, you know, the groove of the record, how I thought it could be an ode to the original, but also contemporary.
Were there any hesitations for anyone? I mean, you asked to look at everything in the vault, but you didn't know what was there, did you?
No, I had no idea what was there. So I had to have some guides. I made a rule for myself. I'm only interested in songs that Michael sang from top to bottom multiple times. Ooh. Because then I would know that he loved the song. Because I didn't want us to put out music that Michael didn't want the world to hear. After my song selections, I thought about which producers really contemporize these songs, and I felt like the best producer was Timbaland. We should listen to Loving You
Original?
The original, and then let's listen to Loving You as you've contemporized it. Here's the original.
Hear the warp from the tape.
You hear that?
That's a dope sound, though. I like that.
Hello, August moon, where are the stars of the night? You promised me too soon, 'cause it's been cloudy all night.
Yeah.
Hello, August moon, where are the stars of the night?
It's a big difference, ain't it?
Oh my God.
It's been cloudy all night, and the weather.
Don't mind if I turn this up, dude.
If you're not well, stay in bed. 'Cause I've been feeling down and blue, and it's cloudy in my head. Instead of going out to some restaurant, I stay home in bed. I'll be loving you. That's what I wanna do.
But I noticed that what you did, you brought the pocket out and it actually made his voice sound like
Karen.
I felt the energy in the way he was singing it.
That's the whole purpose, because that's what you loved about Michael.
When I went in there with the mindset of, what would Michael want me to do right now? There was things that I would do musically, and it was almost like I could hear his voice saying, no, 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 try this.
I'm doing Michael Jackson, but I can't talk to him. So how do I channel to him? So when I did my music, I hear him saying, that's it, Tim. That's it. That's what I like. But sometimes I look around, I'll be like, and nobody be in the room. I never shared this story. So I like, even with my co-producer, Jerome, he like, you all right? I said, no, I'm cool, man. His spirit resonated through me to give me the okay.
I was thinking every morning when we started opening up his vocal and we started listening back, I pretended like Michael was gonna come in the room in 10 minutes. And, you know, I wanted to make sure that I felt like he would have approved.
It was almost like his spirit was there with us when we did it.
This is another interesting one. This one is Blue Gangster. You have no idea what this sounds like, right?
No. See, some of this stuff, after a while, after the first 3 songs I heard the original, I said, this is gonna throw me off, so just play the acapellas. Sometimes when we ask producers or songwriters to go back and rewrite something, it's hard to do it because it's like what they heard when they wrote it is stuck. This one don't sound as bad as the rest of them.
The beat is doing the right stuff.
It's cool, yeah.
What you gonna do? You ain't a friend of mine. Look what you put me through. Now that I'm the blue gangster.
It's the first time I've listened to that, except 9 months ago when I thought, okay, that's a melody that works. And I never listened again until Timbaland sent it back, and it sounded like this.
What you gonna do? You ain't a friend of mine. Look what you put me through. Now that I'm the blue gangster. What you gonna do? You ain't a friend of mine. I'm the blue gangster. What you gonna do? You ain't a friend of mine. I'm the blue gangster.
I don't never really talk. And you know me for years. I don't talk cocky, but
No.
I'm a bad man.
Being around him on stage and seeing how he would rehearse and being around him in the studio, you just learned a lot. You learned a lot watching that.
Michael would be in the lounge watching footage on Jackie Wilson, James Brown, and Charlie Chaplin. And he was about probably 40 when we were working together. And I walked in, I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm studying. Now, mind you, he had all the Grammys, millions and millions of albums sold, and I said, what do you study? He said, you never stop studying the greats. And that was a serious lesson for me as a young and up-and-coming person to hear him say that and to witness that.
You know, he was tireless in his perfectionism, but I think he never got in the way of what purely evoked that emotion.
We wrote Slave to the Rhythm for Michael, And this time it was myself and my lifelong best friend and partner, Kenny Babyface Edmonds. The song sat in the vault forever, from 1991 until recently. He recorded that vocal top to bottom, entire song, 24 times. Not once and then take a break or once and fix the bad note. No, he sang the song from top to bottom 24 times. Here's how it was originally, and then I'll show you what Timbaland did to really bring it up to date, make it cool, and make it listenable. And then it came alive.
She dances in the sheets at night. She dances to his needs. She dances till he feels just right until he falls asleep. Stay to the rhythm.
On that one, I have to just say thank you, because this song in the 90s when we made it, it didn't surface because it never quite measured up. Like, I liked it a lot, but never thought it was a smash. And what you've done is you've added an element to it that makes it like dancing. You made the song dancing. You made Michael sound like he was dancing when he did it. You brought it into a place where at least it matters now. Yeah. Uh-oh, more killers. Like the mafia now.
What up, man? Chillin'. Like I done graduated.
Rodney, you have the only song that you produced the original version and you produced the version that will appear on the XSCAPE album. To play the before and after is you comparing you to you.
That's original?
That's the original.
What year was this?
99 we started. Finished around 2001.
Everywhere I turn, no matter where I look.
So let's hear the 15 years later version of Escape.
Dark child. Escape. Gotta get away from the system. The world is escape. The pressure that I feel from relationship. Had to go away. Escape. The man with the thing that writes.
When we worked on Escape, Michael's was like, dig deeper. Where's the sound that's gonna make you listen to it over and over again? He's like, no, you gotta go to the junkyard and just start hitting stuff. I never forget this. I go to the junkyard, start hitting stuff and stuff that starts sounding like, whoa, that sound like that could fit as a snare. That sound like that might can go with the kick. It was all of those moments of him challenging, constantly challenging for that next thing.
Once we got into the project, there was something missing for me. So next on my list was Stargate. So I went to them and I played them the body of work that we created up to that point. And I played them a couple of songs that weren't done. And I asked them to get involved. And they respectfully declined.
LA came down to the studio and I'm sure he'll tell you this too. He kind of got a no from us the first time he presented the project. But then he also gave us a choice. He played us 3 different songs and let us choose which one we wanted to work on.
Just listening to the vocals of A Place With No Name that we ended up doing it just has so much of Michael's magic, just the performance and his whole rhythm, and he really went to work on the background, so just the vocals alone really inspired us.
You have the original there?
I think I have the original.
Yeah, there it is. No wonder the original writer didn't recognize it, right?
He's like, that's my song?
As I drove across on the highway, my Jeep began to rock. I didn't know what to do, so I stopped and got off and looked down. I noticed I got a flat.
Okay, so you went from there and you ended up.
highway, my Jeep began to rock.
That thing right there is a vocoder. There's a mood bass on top of it playing the same.
So this is just vocals and drums. That's all.
Wow.
Like tablas.
Wow.
As I drove across on the highway, my Jeep began to rock.
All the snaps in the vocal as well.
So I stopped
Those are his
and got
snaps.
up and looked down. I noticed I got a
This
plug.
is just the drums and vocals.
So I walked out, parked the car like sideways, so I can find what I can fix. I looked around, there were no cars on the highway. I felt a
Well, what's
strange
interesting-
feeling like a mist. So I walked down toward the end of the road.
Listen to how rhythmic that vocal track
and in
is.
the fog,
That's what we
a
listen
woman
to.
appeared.
That's what gave us the funk.
She
That's what
said,
gave us
"Don't you
the
worry, my friend.
energy.
I'll take care, take my hand, I'll take it there.
And then, of course,
Take me to a place without no name.
and when we have the chords, that's what we knew we had it.
Right. To a place without no
Bring in the band.
Take me to a place without no name. Take me to.
First and foremost, we're fans. You know, we are fans of Michael and his music, and we grew up on it. So I felt that there's a certain heritage. We have to show some respect.
Right.
We talked about it a little bit without getting too academic about it, because at the end of the day, it's all about emotion. But we talked about, what is Michael? What did he stand for? You know, there's a soulfulness to all his music. There's timelessness, but it's still contemporary.
Exactly.
Man, being in the studio and just having the acapella of Michael's vocals and listening to him, you start to really understand how great he really was.
You hear that demo, it's just him on the piano and he's snapping and singing along, and you feel what he felt and it translates. You know, it's like, it's infectious.
The way he crafted his backgrounds, the way the approach of his lead vocals and how passionate you can hear, and you can hear his foot in the booth when he's singing and his fingers snapping.
He has that voice and that energy, that sort of lightning in a bottle thing that you can't explain.
Chicago was one of those tracks that when you heard it, his voice was so rich and so deep on it, told such a story. Mike literally left you a map. He had the drums, and it was just Mike's vocals. And I put up a bass patch.
Is this that bass patch?
That was a cool bass. It was just,
I met her on the way to Chicago.
and I was just
That
yeah.
bass patch.
Michael would've went crazy over that.
Right there?
Listen, Michael would've went crazy over that.
I first met Michael Jackson when he was a very young boy. His family would come up to Caesar's Palace. At that point, my dear friend was very much into show business. He was a sponge, and he would always ask very intelligent questions. And we just spent time in my studio, and a lot of material came out. But Love Never Felt So Good was the one that I was most excited about. The chord changes, the concept of the song, the range, the way he approached the song. And it was more the way he heard everything, and he would vocalize it to me, you know, all the little sounds, the harmonies, and the way we bounced off each other.
My involvement with Michael goes back many years. I first met him on the Thriller album. If Michael came to the studio and he didn't have in his mind specifically what a given thing was going to be in a given day, then you knew it was going to be an adventure. I remember doing some work on Loving You, and that just being a wonderful, joyous statement kind of life and of love, and which is very typical for Michael, because that was his attitude, and that's the energy that he had.
Blue Gangster, to me, was supposed to be the part 2 of Smooth Criminal. It was a love song, but in that era, with this sound. Mind you, it's a love song in that era with this sound. You know what I mean? And Michael singing it.
His brother had some antique Model T cars, and what does Michael do? But he picks up a piece of wood.
Michael used to create sounds and put it in a record. He would throw an egg on the floor and we'd record that.
Tapping on the body, tapping on the fender, tapping on the door, and he'd walk around the room and just looking for some character of sound that, in his mind, he knew he was looking for something that he hadn't heard before.
He would let me hear music from Africa and then Japan and, you know what I mean, and Korea and then, you know, and kind of study this kind of stuff. He would really school me with that.
Michael brought a lot more to the basic track when he did all of the things that he did, and that great feeling of passion and warmth and believability that he did in his songs.
It's probably been 15 years now since I was asked to come up with this record by Michael. It was even more exciting that, like, almost instantly he loved the record. He did the verses because they were low. You know, I met her on the way to Chicago where she was all alone. And so was I, so I asked her for a name. They're like low. And then the chorus is like, woman like that was really into me. She said she didn't have no man, raised the kids the very best she can. You know, it's like Michael, like the rock Michael, like screaming and like going hard.
He was always searching. This is one of the things that was a never-ending process for Michael, not only in the writing of the music, in nonstop creating music, but also creating ways to make it unique and different and special. Michael had a saying, study the greats and become greater.
I know that this album is gonna be very emotional to people because, you know, Michael is going to be sitting in everyone's living room making them feel good.
As the years passed, you know, I ran into Michael many times. One time in particular, we had a very specific meeting about him joining the label and us working together. He told me things like, I trust you, I want to work with you, I'll do everything you ask me to do, as long as it's about being great. If it can't be great, if it can't be groundbreaking, then we shouldn't do it.
This is his way of saying, don't ever count me out. I know how to say checkmate.
Michael embodied greatness in everything that he did, not just as an artist, as a humanitarian, as a person. That was his life. He was all about being great. He preached it all the time. So it's our duty now as a team to bring our greatness, with his greatness, and now let the world hear what we came to do.
What really moved me about Michael is, you know, because during this project, we really studied him. He talked about love. He talked always about giving love. It was never about how much love he got back. And we feel it's our responsibility to really defend his honor and really stand for what he stood for. And he stood for love.
We all did a collective great job to make it current. We really put together a great body of work.
What Michael Jackson means to me is multiple great moments in my life and multiple great moments, I think, in the history of pop culture and the influence and the impact that he's had on other artists. He's simply the greatest ever.
Everywhere I turn, no matter where I look, the systems in control is all ran by the book. I got to get away so I can free my mind. Escape is what I need from the electric guys. No matter where I am, I see my face around. They've been lies on my name, then push them town to town. Don't have a place to run, but there's no need to hide. I got to find a place, but I won't hide away.